I hope that everything is working again. So it's a first week when we're doing these streams, and so far the technical problems wasn't so big. However, we had to sometimes to restart it. So let's see if we have to do it again. I'm just checking. It seems good. So give me one more minute. All right, my friends, so I'm here. I am here. Hope you're glad to see me. Morning, Dean. Amazing. You are consistent in joining the streams, and I hope you're learning something. We will give it one more minute until more people will join. Let's see how many people will join today. So, how was your week, guys? For me, it wasn't too good. I mean, in trading, it was good. I actually closed the profits from the. Hello, my friend. Actually, I've been checking that your Aussie cat. Look how's it going, right? So we will look deeper into it and remind the things how we found the level. Right? So a lot of waiting. Yeah, exactly, Dean. That's how it is. You know, sometimes that's the weeks which we have to pause trading for a while and wait, right? So we got basically the first week was nothing. There was just 2 days, right? Then there was a great week for trading. Now we have a correction week, right? So the next 2 weeks, I think, could be a expansion, right? Hello, Xavier. All right, so let's start. We're gonna check again the things which we're doing here, right? As usual. So dollar index, right? What? Good morning, Mr. Wale. So we having a this Monday range which we have drawn in here, right? And what the price action actually did, right? So we had the expansion. Good morning, Simon. So we had the expansion, then price dropped lower, you know, dipped below here, and then it's ranging in here, right? So what's actually happening here? We still have our model, which should be trading from 61.8, right? So it's still higher than our interest, right? So even though it looks like a setup that everything has happened in here, good morning, Ahmed, that everything has happened in here, it's still invalid for us, right? For a few reasons. We are not at the 61.8, and also, if you remember, the transition candle, right? This one, the liquidity below this candle is where we should be interested, right? Now I will jump a little bit here into this Aussie cat, right? And we can see how it perfectly worked. This thing with our member Bro Look, if is it correct, correctly said this nickname, right? So we're looking for a setup at least below the candle which took us from the 50% to the 50% discount to the 50% premium, right? So we can see it's this one, and then below it, we're looking for a level, right? So let's look to dollar index, right? And it would be below this candle, right? So what is, in my opinion, going to happen probably, and it's just a not predicting, but thinking about a possible scenarios, right? So they created expansion on the Monday, then price went lower, right? And then actually in here we can see this break, right? This break close above, right? Traders entering along here because liquidity is taken in here, right? That's not only us who knows this, right? Many people are thinking like that, but maybe not everyone is thinking about it correctly, right? So they probably entered long here, right? And they have stop losses right now below this low, right? So what, in my opinion, is can happen depends on where today is going to close, right? It can be somewhere around here where the price is actually, somewhere here where the price is, so it can be lower, right? But it will create a weekly range, right? So here will be weekly range high, right? And currently we're gonna have a weekly range low in here, right? Maybe we will close somewhere lower, right? So that's what we have to then update, right? And then we have actually a perfect weekly range, and then there we could be forming our setups, right? Like that, right? So that's what we still waiting for, right? And because I think this is what's going on, what is going to play on the dollar index, the exact opposite could be playing on the euro, right? So again, we have a range created in here. The high was taken, price dropped lower, right? Somehow created this break, right? That's a first break in here. But because if we measure, and we actually should measure the dealing range in here also, right? In this one we actually don't need anymore, right? Let's clear this chart because we have a lot of rubbish in here which we really don't need, right? We should measure a dealing range, which would be from here, right? Because look, here we have that previous week Friday, and then the Monday, Tuesday has taken these highs, right? Which been rejected. So we are measuring a dealing range from here. Sorry. Down here. Good morning, Adrian. Here we have our dealing range, right? And here we have our transition candle, right? Our candle that took us from premium to discount, right? So the liquidity above this one would be perfect level, right? And look how it all now drawing perfect situation, right? We have our candle in here, we have actually the order block in here, and we have the 61 point here above in here, right? So we have this Monday range. Now, depends again where this week will close. I think we will be closing maybe somewhere higher above this level, right? So then we're gonna have a new weekly range drawn in here, right? And then we could be waiting what's gonna happen next week, right? Maybe Monday range can break above, right? Create another new range in here, and then possibility to form a trade from here, right? So waiting at this moment in here. That's what would be my possible scenario, right? Definitely, I'm not interested to trade in here, right? Because why? You are in the discount, right? You don't want to be selling in the discount. You want to be selling in the premium, right? In the premium prices. Even if you measure the Fibo from here, your level still should be in 61.8 and 0.8, somewhere between, right? Which would be nice, this nice order block in here, right? So we still should be avoiding setups in here, right? Good morning, Riyadh. Glad to see you guys here. All people from my team, most of you. That's great. So that's what I'm seeing on the pound, and I think that would be a potential scenario, right? So it doesn't have to play today. It could be just waiting, right? And then maybe some move. Let's see if we're gonna have something on the next week. Where is actually calendar? Right, we can look a little bit to the future. Right, you see Thursday, monetary, so there's nothing. Okay, so there's nothing on the Monday, right? Be careful with this, because mostly when there is nothing, when there is no news, people think market will not move, and opposite happens. It's quite often it's moving when there is not news, right? So we will see, right? Definitely, euro still maintaining bearish bias, right? Still want to play this huge weekly range, right? To the lows, to this weekly level. Therefore, the continuation, right? So I think we still need to make this deeper move down, but I still think that we need to go a little bit higher for that pullback, right? Why? Because mostly these pullbacks happening in two waves, right? There's always at least two waves, right? Like one and two, right? So two waves. So that's on the euro. Let's look to the pound. Here is a pound, and I actually entered the trade yesterday. It went lower. Then I've been wondering, but it's moved back. And before this news where the power was picking, I closed that. And then I reopened it again, and then I close it back again, right? So let's check. In the end, I have ended up in the loss in here. If I count it all right, so that's for today. But yesterday it was a profitable trade, the partial, right? So here is this. Where is it? Let me zoom a little bit. Let's move it like a symbol. GBP here, right? So I entered, and then it moved, and I stopped that, right? I stopped that trade, and yesterday I had a profitable trade, right? So 500 profit, 1200 loss, right? So I'm like a -7 on this one specific trade, right? And this is also the trade we had on the beginning of this stream. And then overall there was some good trades for this week, right? Anyway, this is what I'm going to close right now, and we're going back here. So I'm actually out of this position for now, because why? Look, I've been looking at it again deeply, and of course it can play from here, but look here on the exact top, right? We have a level, we have this order block, this last up candle reacting on this previous level in here, right? So in my opinion, if the dollar index will drop slower, and it would be something like 80 pips, right? Euro can make also 80 pips, 90, 80, right? To be in the 61.8, maybe even more, right? Because it would be sell. So the euro makes higher high than this one, but pound moves 2 times more, right? So this one could make, look, if it makes 80 pips, it would be somewhere around here, but even higher, because it's a little bit more volatile, right? So I was thinking like my stop loss, which was initial on the 134, which was somewhere here, would be probably taken out, right? So I let this trade. We will see if it was a good decision or not. We will see, right? So let me just put back this which I want to, right? So we will see. Maybe it was bad decision, right? Maybe I should stay in a trade. I don't know it now, but I said to myself, oh, okay, let's close it, right? Let's close it for the week in here, right? Let's see what's gonna happen in here, right? Because what I don't really like is that here is too much price action above here, right? So we will see. Then USD/JPY, and we are bullish. We expecting price to go higher, right? As we are bullish on the dollar, and yeah, it has created this Monday range. Now it's dipping below it, right? So it's actually below the previous week low, right? So here is where the candle has opened. and we probably see a wick on the weekly, right? Here is the open and here is the body of the candle, right? So where it's heading right now, right? Again, look. This candle which took us from the 50% lower to the higher, from discount to the premium, right below there, which is here, the key level, something like this, right? Or maybe you can frame it like that, right? And try to put it into confluence with the dollar index. That's where I would be interested in the long, right? So this Monday range is now not valid for me. I would not be taking the trade from here, and what we would probably see for the next week is the weekly range to be created somewhere in here, right? And it could give us a framework for this, right? So we're waiting right now. Marco, Geo at weekly bullish FVG seems to be holding. Let me check, Marco. Yeah, the GBP actually, and it has one more thing which I really don't like. If we go to the weekly, yes, you are right. Yeah, you have this here. But also, if you look like that, look, right? Relatively equal highs in here, right? So maybe the pound still can attack these highs, right? That would might not surprise me too much, right? Because also, let me try something, right? Because if we remove this range, we can actually draw also this. We can actually look at it with this perspective, right? Let's say we have, all right, this is something I was showing to someone. All right, so let's say we have these relatively equal highs, right, as a potential liquidity. Now we have the candles closing, right? Then you have one candle close below, and then look, actually, right? Could be like that, right? We have one candle manipulating this low, right? Reaction in this bullish FVG. Right? And let's go lower time frame. Right? So there could be actually also this playing out, right? You see manipulation, maybe model number one, right? And going for these two highs, right? That could be also happening, right? So when you have a situation that you can draw the bullish and also the bearish scenario, then don't trade it, right? So that's why I just quit this one, and maybe I will need to wait for more price action, right? And what can potentially also happen is that it will simply start to drop lower, right? And I will be saying like, fuck, I should stick to my initial plan, right? So we will see that. We will see what's going to happen, right? So this is definitely interesting. So I'm going to put it into my journal because I want to see how this is going to end up, right? Right, just like that. Right, then I will reanalyze what really has happened in here. Right, so now we have USD JPY in here. Here is a USD CAT, which also someone from you has bring into the Discord, right? So that's what could play in here, right? This makes perfect sense with this pullback on the dollar, right? This one could come lower down here, right? So that's pretty much what I'm looking for on the Forex pairs. GU is in gray area now. Yeah, gray area, you mean like nowhere, right? Now let's check Bitcoin, right? Still waiting for the same thing as yesterday, right? We are in the range, right? We don't do anything. You never buy high or you sell high. You never sell low or you buy low, and you don't play in the mid of the range, right? That's where is a low probability, right? And again, we're looking for same thing, candle that took us from the discount to the premium. That's where probably, of course, it's always probability, where the liquidity could be lying, and then we're looking for a level to trade from below this, right? Which is these down candles, where was the breakout of these highs, right? And we have the equal highs on the top, right? So that's a double top signal, right? And what's probably forming in here some kind of a, like, you know, maybe some trend line. And once this trend line in here is broken, that would be a signal for the sellers, right? Because they have double top, right? They have break of the trend line, they will be selling, and we're gonna buy against them, right? So that's on the Bitcoin. Similar thing on the SUI, right? Look. Yes, it's dipped below, but look how it left double bottom exactly with this candle, right? So still, I'm not interested yet, right? Because for me, the pullback wasn't deep enough. Yes, that's possible that I will probably miss a trade, right? But at least at 61.8, right? Between there, I would be looking for an entry, right? And that's these. I would like to see also some kind of a range, right? And look, they created a pin bar in here, which is what? Which is, of course, a bullish setup. But if it is a bullish setup, not in the right place in the market, not below this transition candle, not below, not in the level, that's a only trap, right? So we can form it like this. Right, so that's on the SUI, what we could be looking for. Also, if we go higher time frame, right, look where we are right now. We still have room to go higher, right? So we will see how it's gonna play in here. Then Solana, same thing, right? It's all in the same things, right? You can see and how the crypto actually and the forex markets are looking same, right? They are ranging, doing not much this week, right? Trapping the traders who basically seen this pump and they FOMOed into the markets in here. Now they are in the range, right? Now they are kind of frustrated, right? They have stop losses. Where? Those who have them here, they don't have a good risk reward, right? So most of them hoping that price will not go lower, right? And if you think about it, you see there was like pump, range, and then this candle here. Here is where many traders has entered it, right? So I think we're going lower, and that's where we will be trading. Same thing on the Doge, right? Look, again, we have the pump, right? Then we have transition candle below here, ranging, right? Taking some liquidity in here, but still, I think we will see some nice range again created, right? Around our levels for the potential setup, right? Still could go lower, you know, and that's what we would be looking for. And it's basically on almost all markets, right? Here's the Ethereum. It has quite a huge range in here. Look, 3 months range, right? Manipulation, price going higher. We are close to the 50%, right? Candle still closing above the previous ones. Now, actually, this is good. I want to explain you something. When you have a range, let's forget about where we are right now in the context. But what I have realized, when you have a range like this, right? Then you have candle which takes the low, right, in here, then you're expecting price going lower, you have your stop loss above here, and you would be stop out, right? Why? Because this wasn't big enough, right? If you remember this, okay, this one, right? Right? The stop hand should be at least a 15% of this range, right? So we have this range, the stop should be a little bit bigger, right? Then the stop has happened in this candle, right? But it closed above that range, right? Then you should be very careful, because then what's most likely is going to happen that the price will go again a little bit higher, right? You don't know if it will take this high again. You don't know if it will take this high again, right? But definitely the momentum is slowing down right now, but they still taking the liquidity, right? So what you could be looking for, you can measure this. You can measure this. Let me make this color a little bit. You can measure that wick, right? And in the midpoint, let me make it even bigger. And in the midpoint of that wick is mostly where the price comes, right? But how to be sure that the reversal is coming, that it is ready to play the model number one, right? You need to see the manipulation at least above these 50%, right? Obviously now this is not definitive and this is not a rule. Sometimes you will find that it's lower, but that's somehow what I see, that I'm getting a confidence, right, on the 15% of that range. And this candle should be closing as a bearish, because if it's closing still bullish, even if it closes inside and it's closing bullish, when it closes bearish, it's simply better. This is how I would say it, right? Because if it's bullish, then still there could be more play above, right, before something that like that happen, right? That's what I wanted to mention in here when we're going through the charts, right? What else we have? Okay, let's look at this, which our friend yesterday pointed on, right? So this is a Aussie cat, right? So I'm not in this trade, but this is something we analyzed yesterday, right? So what's important from this to take that how we came into these levels, right? So let's go to weekly, and we actually find out that we got this two equal highs, and we probably thinking that the price will go higher, right? So it's giving us a kind of a, at least a probability, right? Then we go lower time frame, and we've been measuring our dealing range, right, from here. Because what has happened in here, right? We had a, here is a, please can you throw more light on the USD? Okay, I will go through the USD JPY, right? Okay, so we had here, look, here is a Monday. Okay, Monday was this, right? Here we had the Monday range, right? So then was manipulation. Price start to go higher, right, from here. Here was a that order block and expansion, right? So from here, or even from here, that really doesn't make a too big difference, but it should be from the where the price did a manipulation and rejected, right? So it was below this Monday, right? So from here to here, we're measuring our dealing range, right? Actually, it could be from to here to be more exact, right? From exact high to the lows, right? Then we're looking for what? We're looking for this transition candle, right? That's how I call it. So simply the candle that took us from the discount to the premium, right? Below it, we're drawing this line here on this transition candle, right? We're drawing this line. I'll make it more visible, right? This line in here, that's where we expecting that would be liquidity probably, and that's below this level we would be interested to trade, right? So we're looking for a trade below this one. Yeah, Adrian has solved this daily CLS range, right? Then you're looking for the level below it, right? So we have this FVG on the midpoint, and also we have this order block midpoint, right? So how I measured this order block midpoint, right? You take all these down candles, right? Now, will you take it from the highs, right, or from the lows? Normally, I'm using the highs. I'm taking the whole candles, right? But look, if I make it like this in here, the level will be exactly same as it is my transition candle. So I want to see a level a little bit lower, right? So I need to adjust because here the wick is big. So I need to take it from here, right? And we have find the exact level in here, right? So you, even though the strategy is a completely mechanical and finding the levels is also completely mechanical, you need to use the common sense, and you always need to find a level below this transition candle, little bit below it, right? Not exactly on that, right? So you don't want to be entering on that FVG, but in the midpoint, right? Or this level, or this order block, right? So that's where you want to be entering, right? But anyway, this is not an entry per our strategy, right? Because we don't have a CLS range here, right? That would be, that's not how we should trade it, right? But that's how, why is this important for us? It's important for us for the case that we're looking for something, and I'm coming back to the USD JPY as you asked Ahmed, right? So what we're looking for in here, right? Again, we have a what? Look, here was a Monday. It was Monday range. Here. Look, Monday range, manipulation, right? Rejection in here. So from here, I'm measuring my dealing range, right? And I'm finding my transition candle, right? And I'm not going to trade it just like that, because like this, it's same like that Aussie cat, right? But what I want to have some range, right? So that's gonna be for me, in this case, that weekly range which will forms in here, right? So it will gives me more confidence, more something what I like, right? Where I would frame my first target, my potential re-entry on the Model 2, my potential target, right? And of course, I could hold it all the way up here, right? But also, what you need to know in that case, you need to know yourself. And here is something what I would like to also actually explain, right? That's obviously amazing to be holding such a big trades, right? But you need to be prepared that these trades are not gonna happen like this, right? How they gonna play? Most likely, such a trades, they will be something like that. Like this, right? Sometimes they will be just a simple pump, but they will be like this, right? So now you need to know yourself if you feel comfortable in this situation when this is happening, right? When the price is going against you, when it's giving you this pullback, right? And this pullback, how you gonna feel, right? Because you will not feel comfortable, probably. At least it's at least it's not comfortable, and there will be maybe even some news from the market, right, which will be affecting you, right? So you need to consider if it is more comfortable for you to get out, okay, in here on the 1 to 2, right, and maybe then re-enter, right, and again to take 1 to 2, or if you want to do the home runs and you are able to hold such a trades, right, such a trades in here. Can you go to Doge USD? I missed the sell entry. Doge on the daily. Yeah, you're probably trading this range, right? So let me do this. Sorry. Let me do this. Copy. Make a copy. So you're probably trading a this range, right? Right, so you have a daily, then you need to go 1 hour, right? On the 1 hour, when you when you simply have the candle closing below this one, which is here, right? You have two options to do, right? Is this enough manipulation? Probably yes. Let's try. Let's try to check if that would work. Right, you see, the manipulation was big enough, right? Now, when the order block is created in here, right, on the 1 hour, once the candle closes below this one, right, so in this moment, you have the confirmation, right, that the order block is created, red, right? So what you can do, you can enter here, but where you put stop loss? In here, and you're targeting 50%, right, which is here. That's, you should avoid, right? So in that case, you only wait for a pullback into this order block, right? You put your stop loss here, and then you're targeting this, right, 50%. Or what you can also do is this, which would be even better, right? And you're measuring you're measuring this, right? And you're finding that candle, which is this one, right? And that's where you're putting the target, right? But it's already playing, it's already kind of a, look, because in here, so model number 1, right, it didn't give a good risk reward, right? So if you don't extend your target, right, like 1 to 2, which you could like here, then it would be fine, right? But if you're targeting just this 50%, then probably not, right? Then what you do? Then you measure this, right? Model 2. Let me make them colored. I need to adjust my templates, right? And you here, right? In this model number 2, you should be looking for the order block, right? So when you have this low broken in here, right? Where is the last up candle? Here, right? This one. You can go lower time frame to find it and refine it more, right? So look, I'm going to delete this, right? And what you find in here, you find these last up candles, right? So you have this last up candle here in this one, right? Because we have order block from the 4 hour, right? From the 4 hour, sorry, on the 1 hour, right? Yes, daily 1 hour, sorry. right? So you should be looking for this one, or you can do it this way, right? As I showed you before, right? You take all these up candles, right? And you measure the half, right? That's what I like to do. Let me half, right? In here, right? So basically almost same, right? So like this. This is something what I've been explaining in the actually in the academy videos, right? When you have order block created and the price closes quite far, not just right above it, right, but quite far, and gives you a bad risk reward, then you can decide like, am I going to enter with this small risk reward? No. I will wait for the pullback, right? But what if I don't get that pullback for the model number one, right? I simply don't take it, right? So in the perfect world, right, how would you trade it is simple. You have a, and let me actually bring this nice indicator, which was this one. And let me adjust this a little bit. Okay, we probably don't need a color, but it's easy to do that, so we have it. Now we want daily. Okay, but we need a little bit more, few more days back. Right, so here it is, right? We have this our range. Let me make this wicks more visible. Wick. Right? So we have this our range in here. It's representing this big candle, right? Then we have a manipulation, right? Manipulation correctly has been at least a 15% in here, right? Then price start to drop slower inside, right? And as we can see, even in the first candle already the 50% was reached, right? So it was somewhere in here, right? So then basically re-entering in here, right, and targeting again a 50% is a little bit like a kind of, I would not say not possible, right? Of course it is possible to do it, but it's kind of like overcomplicating it, right? And then look, if you're targeting 50%, you have just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, right? Then to get 2RR, you would need to target this low, right? Which you would not get here. And I don't want to tell you a strategy is perfect to catch it here like that. To be honest, I would probably don't catch this here, right? Because here I would be thinking, okay, it's not good risk reward. And in here I would be thinking like, maybe it's not it, right? But in the fact, if you think about that, if the 50% was reached in here, this is actually a model 2, right? So you have a 50% in here, then you measure the fib, right? So let's check it this way. Right? So sometimes the things are not completely clear, and you need to spend some time with doing that, even after you missed the trade, and you're doing these speculations and speaking to yourself, right? Speaking to yourself, what would you do? Would you catch it or not, right? And then you draw it, right? So then basically the model 2 is here, right? So this is just some kind of retest, right? This is already not a model 2. Model 2 is actually played in here, right? Because why? You have a manipulation, model number 1, 50%, right? Model number 1, shit, risk reward. Then you wait, model number 2, 61.8, stop loss above, right? And targeting the opposing range, right? and that's what's probably playing right now in here, right? Shitty price action, not quick, right? That it is what it is. So I hope it's making the sense, right? Uh, Currently Doge on the weekly USD. Okay, so let's check the Doge on the weekly, and I'm actually going to copy image because I'm always collecting these things into my journal, right? It's always great to have it. Right, then when I'm doing my weekly review, I will go through this and remind it to myself, right? So now you're speaking about a Doge weekly, right? So now I can delete this because I have it in my journal right now, weekly. On the weekly, I'm not seeing anything, my friend. On the weekly, what I see in here is, don't know what you mean, my friend. What I am seeing here is actually this 3 months range, right? That's what was my initial trades taken from, right? This, we got this range. Because what happened in here, right? Candle moved higher, right? And then this high was not swept, right? So the liquidity is most likely still on this high side. Now we have this inside candle, right? The low was taken. We have our range in here, right? The low was taken. Let's go lower time frame. Right, it was here. This one can be green. Right, and the low was taken in here, and this is where we're trading, right? So what's probably going on, we still going to reach this, right? And in here is happening the same thing, right? So we had the candle, this high wasn't, fuck me, this high wasn't taken, right? So the liquidity still would be up in there, right? And now the candle, this one, is kind of making an inside bar, right? So what we could wait, what would potentially play in here is that once this candle closed somehow, my MT4, yes, your candle might would be different. That's simply happening. I'll check on my MT4. Maybe it would be different also there, right? Because there's probably differences because some brokers, MT4 brokers, are closed during the weekend, right? So now we have what? We have a manipulation down here on the higher time frame CLS range, right? Price pushing higher. We have pressing, price pushing higher here. We have liquidity above. Now we are ranging inside, right? So once this week will close somewhere, it's gonna print a fair value gap, right? We don't know how this week gonna close because it's still today, Saturday and Sunday, right? The weekly close candles on these, what is this? Bybit, right? They will be printing a little bit different close, right? So maybe it could be something somewhere here, or I don't know yet now. But what we got in here is what is forming in here. We basically know that liquidity is still above here. We know that we have a chance going to the 50%, right? So we are bullish and we want to be buying in the key level, which would be our fair value gap in here, below that this current week low, right? So next week the trade could be forming in here. If we go lower time frame, right, it actually perfectly will fit what I've been drawing in here, right? So we are here, we have this daily range playing lower, right? And on the weekly, you see our transition candle is a little bit lower, right? This would be this weekly low. Let me make it like this. Let's put some different colors so we see it when we change the time frame. Let's put, for example, this one, right? When we go then daily, right? You see, so here we have this weekly candle now forming after this weekly candle boss did this big move, right? And then we have this our analysis again, right? So probably the weekly candle will form in here somewhere, and we want to be buying below this low, right? Perfect confluences of everything, right? Yes, you're empty for printing differently. That could be possible, my friend. That could be possible. Let me check what my Doge is saying. I'm using this stupid application in here because I'm simply doing everything in a trading view, right? So this is a weekly. High wasn't taken, and we have the week trading inside, right? It looks quite similar on my side as on that Bybit to me, right? These two looks quite similar. See? It's always good to compare a few brokers and decide which one you want to do analysis and take the trades from, right? Because there will be always differences between the spreads, prices, how the candles are closed. Depends also on the broker timings, if they what time they have, right, when they trading, and such a things, right? Strange, your high was taken. Possible, that's possible, right? Let's try to check some more brokers. Let's add Coinbase, Binance, Capital, OKX, right? Let's check it weekly, right? This is Coinbase, right? High not taken. This is Binance, high not taken. Doge, another one, right? Capital.com, high not taken. Real high not taken, right? Mostly, if that is not a close, but just a wick, they probably did it by increasing the spread, right? Sometimes you will find out that having a bad data is actually better for you. You know, sometimes it will be advantage, sometimes disadvantage, right? So I would always stick to one broker, try to find the one which has a biggest volume, right? And trade with them, right? If you're talking about a crypto, I think there is a possible to find crypto volume exchanges. Top crypto exchanges, right? And here we can see the volume, right? Binance trading volume, daily volume. Bybit is second, right? Coinbase is third, right? So is that the way to decide which one has better data, right, for our trading? Maybe, right? Maybe it's easy. It's more difficult for them to manipulate if they have a bigger volume than for someone down here who's trading like 20 times smaller volume. They easily manipulate, right? Because also these exchanges definitely has a less customers, right? So less people who will complain, so they can scam easier, right? Okay, my friends, so that's it, what we got for this week. I'm not gonna do a streams tomorrow because it's a weekend and it's not necessary. So for this week, I would call it quite successful one. I had this was actually yeah, there we've been calling for this short on the pound. Okay, this one I actually closed the break even or the slight loss, right? Then we had this H bar, right? This one actually was loss. So I need to update this one. There was USD JPY. This trade, I closed the trade earlier. Here, this was the first case. It was the model number one, right? I closed earlier. Should be TP in here, right? You see, I overextended and it did not reach, right? Then we had a dollar, right? This. What's this? Oh, I'm actually in the previous month. That's why I'm getting a different trades, right? So here was the trades. Here was the trades, right? We had this dollar in here, right? Still the model number one playing in here. We had a USD JPY, right? Amazing trade, right? In this case, we had this big move, right? But if you're trying to hold from the model number one to the highs, quite often it will come back, right? So that's why it's important to close it in here, right? So that's actually what I did in here, right? We had this in this previous month, and there was this USD JPY. Oh, sorry. This USD JPY, right? So the first move, right? Up in here, model number one TP, right? Then the next month, because it was on the weeks on the next month, right, comes model number two, right? So model number one here, model number two here, right? That's it. That's all what you need. Euro USD, right? I had quite shitty entries. I did not enter exactly in here where I should, right? But then this consolidation, when was this manipulation on the Monday's highs, then I entered in here, right? But I had quite a high stop loss, right? And because the range was quite big and the transition candle was quite low, then price nicely reached it and it wasn't that bad risk reward. USD CAD, I had a loss on this one. I marked the loss in here, but didn't update it. Sometimes I don't like to update losses, right? But I need to get better in it. Here was the pound, model one, right? Once the price reached above this range, closed below it, right? And you see the price closed not right in here, right? So I was waiting for a pullback to re-enter, right? How I measured this level. It's a midpoint of this candle in here, right? And confluence with the range high, right? Then look. This is where I get that entry, right? If then dropped to the lower time frame, you see price has reached this midpoint, right? And this CLS range high, right? So that's where you enter, targeting 50%, right? Then I had the loss on the gold in here. Then I had the loss on the Bitcoin. This was something I been maybe too overconfident, right? Then was the GBP USD model number two, right? So here we traded the model number one, target 50%, right? Then been expecting price to make a pullback into the 61.8 and enter in there. Here is a order block, right? And here is basically the both trades, right? Model number one, 50%, ranging, manipulation to the model number two, 61.8, targeting range low, right? Then was this BTC, right? Okay, so this was a swing trade but closed right now. on the higher time frame, right? Range, manipulation, and was holding for range, right? This is what I did on the separated account, so I wasn't influenced by how it is developing, right? Then we had the loss, which was this trade which I took on the stream on the Tuesday, right? So the loss in here. And then actually I didn't have any trade this week, only this pound, right? Which I have entered here. It went a little bit lower. I made decent profit, and then I re-entered again, and I made loss bigger than the first profit. Okay, so okay. Zlatan, let's fucking go, my friend. Zlatan, this is a guy, he's with me maybe 6-7 years. Gold, okay, Adrian, so let's check the gold and then we close this stream, right? You can see I don't have a gold in my watch list anymore because I cannot say always losing, but somehow my accuracy on the gold is not good, right? So we can see some old drawings in here, right? So we can see some old drawings, and we can delete some, and we can use some, right? We'll delete this, right? And let's check what has happened in here. So let's go to daily, right? And look, right? You see, so it's maybe not a bullshit what I'm telling you here, right? Look, this candle, this is transition candle, right? The one which took us from the discount to the premium. That's where the liquidity is, right? Then you're looking for a level below it, right? So I had it in here. And the price came here, right? Maybe rejecting and going higher, maybe it is possible, right? Weekly, what we got in here, right? We had this weekly range. This weekly range was what I wanted to trade in here, right? This weekly range, because we had this manipulation, right? And price closed inside, right? And look, here is again, when you have such a big wick. Let's see where was this level, right? Look, you measure a 50% of the wick, right? Okay, I need to use this tool. Right? Here is a 50% of that wick. Right? It's a level. Remember this. Right? It's a level. So prices came up here, they fucked me up here, and then it went down into the range, right? Yeah, so you mean probably this daily range, right, Adrian? Right? That's a perfectly spotted range, right? That's a great trade because you placed it in the right context of the markets, right? That's what's important in here. Yes, the range, these things, but here, where it is placed, right? Because same things could be happening. Let's see if we will find, right? You see in here. You can think that this is probably a range, right? Manipulation, price close inside. You will definitely find some setup on the lower time frame, but because it's not in the discount, because it's not in here, then not playing, right? Also same in here, right? If you see, so there is a lot of setups. When you find a big candle, right? The next one is making our manipulation, and you will find a setup in here. But because you don't have it in the right context, this setup is simply not valid, right? This one is not what you trade, right? This one is good because it's in the right context of the discount premium liquidity on the market, right? So I would close it in here for this week. I hope that you learned something. I think a lot of you who've been here every day now maybe have an aha moment about this candle and liquidity below there and finding the level in here, right? Because we have a lot of cases when we actually see it where we want to be interested, right? We have seen this, how the price nicely reacting in here, right? Beautifully find the level below here, right? Also we have seen this, right? Where the euro, this short, where exactly did it go, right? Where exactly we close it. Actually, it's I already changed the drawings in here, but let me take you not here, here. Right, look. Here, transition candle down here. That's where I've been targeting, right? Look. Where did it go? Exactly in there, right? So if you got something from this week, please put this into your journal, and it will help you a lot, I think, because what our pattern, what we're trading is this, right? You know it. It's simple, right? We won't see manipulation. Model number one, pullback, right? Model number two, right? This is simple. Everyone can learn this, right? Once you practice, then you need to also understand the order block in here, right? Then finding the level in here when you're getting this this pullback in here, right? Right, and trade in here. This is all simple. But what's mattered the most is to put it into the right context on the market, right? Not doing it in here, not doing it in the random place, but build it in here, as Adrian did, right? And definitely on the 1 hour when this has happened, right? He had a chance probably to, I don't know where he entered, but as I know him, he probably has an entry somewhere in here, right? Targeting these highs, right? All right, my friends, this is it. Hope you enjoying these streams. Hope it's helping you.